And the Beatitudes is one of those places where, you're having so much fun, and then bang, we hit you with some just deep holiness or healing retreat or
spiritual truth
or
direction that you didn't see coming
or
love.
A lot of people have been stopping me, Paul. And they're like, your show is awesome. I was laughing, and then man, Paul hit me with love.
I love to just bam, love.
The Beatitudes! Wow. There's so many cool things happening in this studio right now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Beatitudes. If you're not watching on YouTube, you just missed Hungry Like a Wolf reappearance for season 2.
That's it.
My name is Jeff Shufflebine. I'm joined by my co-hosts, Paul Kolker.
What up?
And Nick Besner.
What's down?
Bit of a dog. Nice one.
Nailed it.
Bit of like a dog pack thing going on here, because right as the show was starting, you whipped out a bronze statue of a wolf.
Yeah, I found this on the shelf, and everybody was producing like books and water bottles and stuff.
In our prep.
But in our prep, yeah. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna bust something out
Did you
here.
say a wolf?
He did pronounce it sans L. Yeah. Woof.
The professional
Our dogs,
speaker.
so.
Yeah.
He's hungry like a wolf.
Who's afraid of Virginia Wolf? He really, he really woofed down that burrito earlier when he was hungry.
Hey, guys. Co-host
Jeff.
over here, Jeff.
You're the best.
Hey, guys. So Beatitudes, for all of you that are tuning in for your first time ever, is a show for Christian men seeking to follow God's will in their life, every part of their life. And if you hadn't figured it out by now, there's some authentic fraternity flowing through this place, through this tiny table of ours.
We'd like to rib each other just a scotch.
Just a little bit. When we do our show... This wolf is, I actually...
Wait, what's it called? One more time.
The spirit animal in front of me. I think that needs to be on the table from here on out. Like when Tim Tebow comes to the show, that's what he's signing, is the wolf.
I love it. Oh, that was
better.
good.
The wolf.
That was it.
Oh, it's because I was laughing. When we prep our guests, we have to tell them to like rotate your head around the mic, and it made me think of the bobsled team. Like I think that we need to get to the point where we'd all kind of lean, except for he hasn't caught on yet. So there you go.
I'm new.
No, that's it.
You're
Yeah,
new.
he's getting it.
He's just pedaling in the back.
Making sure we're moving somewhere.
Yeah, so if you're new to the Beatitudes, welcome. If you are coming back for your 53rd episode, this one is going to be a doozy. I feel it.
Feeling it.
Yeah, this is a special night for us. And the Beatitudes is one of those places where, you're having so much fun, and then bang, we hit you with some just deep holiness or healing retreat or
Spiritual truth.
or
Direction that you didn't see coming.
or
Love.
a lot of people have been stopping me, Paul. And they're like, your show is awesome. I was laughing, and then man, Paul hit me with love.
I love to just bam, love.
All right. In true Beatitudes fashion, it's time to bring our guest onto the show. And you are like a swole, jacked, like man of a man. This is Nathan Pinto.
Yeah, I had to scoot my chair over
I saw
at
that.
least a good few inches here just to make room for the biceps. So
Nice.
Yeah.
Good. Makes me feel good about myself.
Yeah. He didn't shoot
Keep the
it down.
camera
No.
from here up.
Yeah, there you go.
This table is just slightly big enough for the three of y'all
Just barely.
and me.
Well, yeah, you're kind of shuffled off into a corner today.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel ostracized by you guys. It's gotten kind of weird. I'm going to scoot it in a little.
There we go.
Nathan, welcome to the Beatitudes. Have you ever listened to the show before?
I have, definitely.
Oh, actually, I saw you be a promoter one time.
For
I
sure.
feel like our net
Yeah.
promoter score went up to 5 that day.
That's solid.
Solid 5.
Up 5 points, yeah.
And what is your impression of what's going to happen on today's show? Like, what do you anticipate as you walk in here tonight?
I kept my expectations low. I think
That's
you
smart.
guys are creative on the fly, and I'm here for the ride. So
I feel like you just put the pressure back on us. I was trying to put it on you.
I actually just feel like I can, as long as I'm sitting next to the real talent of the show here.
Wow.
Next to Paul.
Thank you.
I never batted an eye.
Why is the accountant here for the show? Just kidding.
The accountant.
Thank you.
We have an editor, an accountant, and a comedian.
All walked into a room.
I sub my accounting out to Christopher.
Nice.
That's actually true. We have a super fan that actually brings our net promoter score to 11.
Whoa.
Yep.
One man.
Yep. That's
One
actually
man.
not true. And he's done some special stuff with us, including tracking all of our points so we don't have to, which is just a phenomenal sacrificial gift.
Wow.
I don't know how he does it.
Time, talent, treasure.
Yes, that's it. he's offering all of those.
So how did we ever come to meet each other? You're like an entrepreneur, right?
For sure. Yeah.
You were looking for Catholic entrepreneurs. You met me, and then you kept looking. That's what I remember. I was like, Nathan, it's me.
I learned to be more descriptive with my asks.
Wow.
I love that.
This is great.
Jeff's out. Tapping out. Taking
Lord,
his wolf
please.
and going home.
Lord, please send me somebody in my life to, help me with business and all that. But not him. Is that how that played out?
Kind of.
A little bit. We had some beers, though. It was a good time.
Yeah, he's like, you're an entrepreneur. Buy me some beers. Entrepreneur doesn't mean successful.
Write it off.
Write it off. I love that. Everybody, oh, you have a business? Write it off. I'm like, what do you think this is doing for me? Like,
Yeah. I'm still losing the money.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
not paying
I'm
more in taxes.
Spending the money.
sponsor this now. And I'm like, no, I need to pay for this.
Yeah.
But you have done some pretty cool stuff. Let's go way back, okay? Were you a man of faith growing up? Did you have some sort of conversion, reversion, inversion? What happened there?
It's actually that's a good question. When I was 19 years old, I got into just a bunch of research around the different things and just saw a lot of things, whether it's the fact that this universe has been around for 14 billion years or the fact that we're one of 6 trillion planets. And I got to a place where I would say I could look around and have I wouldn't say a disbelief, but more or less a reason to question. And I actually got on my knees. I was 19 years old in my dorm, and I denounced my faith. And I prayed to God, and I said, either you're one of two things. You're either the great clockmaker who made this Earth and has made trillions of planets, and we all just exist here in this, existence with maybe some purpose, maybe not, or you're a loving and caring God. And if you're the latter, I believe if you truly love me as much as they say you do, then I've got 10 questions that I want to ask you. And if you really love me as much as you say they do and you answer these questions, I'll give my life to you. And so I was 19 years old and slowly transformed from a super fun frat guy to a pretty religious and increasingly more boring person over time.
Dude, I just want to jump in. Nathan, you are no nonsense in the very description of the word, and I love it.
Have you ever been called intense before?
From time to time.
His laugh. Yes.
Do you fit the challenger mold of the Enneagram?
I'm not too sure.
Yes, I will answer that one for you.
Can you share any of the questions and answers?
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to
share
kind
all
of
of them, but-
rack my brain, but there were definitely questions around things like dimensions, understanding past lives, understanding saints and demons and these extraterrestrial type or these like non-spiritual or these spiritual type elements you saw in the world. And so those were some of them. I'd really have to rack my brain at this point to remember them all. But
So you became boring and holy.
slowly.
Oh, slowly
For
boring.
the sake of my friends, yeah.
Paul, I'm working on the part where I infuse love.
Yeah. We'll get there.
It's your job.
You got to hit him with love. Bam.
Yeah. So you go through that process. I get it. Like I had to go through some part in college where I was like, I'm sorry, we can't be friends anymore.
Yeah.
And I was just talking to like alcohol, and I was talking to, that's after I was a better person. But there was friends I had to kind of take out of my life,
For sure,
right?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Love them, can't hang out with them. Then take us on the journey. So now you're kind of in. Some things happen. God reveals himself to you over time. What happens from there?
Yeah, this actually probably won't be, received too well here, but I was actually at A&M first. And yes, I started at A&M. And
so far, so good.
Yeah, where's it going to take the turn?
And, once again, I can blame this on being a 19-year-old, but I was watching the last time Texas and A&M played football.
You told God if we lose this game on a field goal?
Well, it was halftime, and I actually always wanted to go to UT, but I got a great scholarship to A&M. My parents were like, you need to go there, just far more cost efficient. But I'd been there for 2 years. It had been awesome. I was the president of my fraternity. I ran my freshman year, got elected. We threw some crazy parties, still remembered to this day, in fact, so it was awesome.
Legend.
Like I said, there was a point in time where it wasn't so boring. These were, different periods of time.
There's like something poetic here. I feel like you're leaving on the highest note. Like everybody loves you. Like Nathan's coming. And you're like, this is my last party. I'm leaving.
It was something like that, actually. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, he's intense.
Plus, I loved A&M. I mean, I had a great time there.
Sure.
All my best friends are Aggies.
Thanks. We all say thanks.
Yeah,
for sure. I have nothing but love for A&M. And I didn't want to tell a whole lot of people because I also didn't know till the end if I was actually going to get in when I transferred. But yeah, I prayed to God and I said, it was halftime, and my uncle turned to me and he said,
this is real. Oh my goodness.
didn't you want to go to UT? And A&M was up, I think, quite a substantial amount at halftime. I'm sure you guys have this like deeply
relive
brained
this game.
Yeah, exactly. In your brain.
Yeah.
And I turned to him and I just kind of joked and I said, you know what? Whoever wins this football game, I'm going to go to that school next year. And UT made a pretty miraculous comeback. Justin Tucker, great Catholic dude, makes the sign of the cross and kicks the field goal.
Don't make us feel guilty about the way we feel about that play. Come on, man.
You got to root for it.
Some
Root for the man.
Catholic
Though.
guilt.
Come on, he's good.
Oh my gosh.
And,
do you think it was a miraculous comeback, or do you think there was something else kind of going on the field for the Big 12, pulling for against the SEC team? I don't know.
Yeah, you're just embodying the sore loser there.
I'm just trying to hold on to our listeners.
Yeah, we have at least a few Aggies who listen. At least.
Edit this whole part out.
Yeah.
For sure.
Nathan's an okay guest, everybody. He's just pretty okay.
fine,
No, keep going.
just
I'm being a jerk.
No, it's
Paul's
all,
full of love.
it's all good.
You,
As I said, sore
you get
loser.
in.
Yeah, got in, wound up transferring to UT, and it was really cool. In fact, there was a group that I was part of when I was a kid called Schoenstatt, which is a Marian movement, and I was part of it all throughout my, upbringing. And when I transferred to UT, they actually had just started a university men's group. And so I was able to take sort of the skills and talents I developed as, running a fraternity and bring that over to what they call SUM, Schoenstatt University Men. And it's honestly still a fantastic program. I went there for the 15-year reunion recently of their sort of total existence, and it's really great. It's thriving, and I saw a bunch of just, divine providence in that switch, and I'm grateful for it. And I still love Aggies. Gig 'em.
That's so cool, though, that the Lord uses even the skills that you had to throw great fraternity parties, right? You think about like the galvanizer that's getting everybody pumped up about the next big thing that we're going to do. And then you get struck by all these moments that bring you to now a Marian devotion that you can use the exact same skills. I mean, those are fundamentals of how to rally the troops and invest in relationships. It's just for a better fruit.
For sure.
All right, so keep going from there. I know there's more to this story. So I keep getting this name wrong, but it sounds samurai-ish to me. Shinsu.
Schoenstatt.
Oh,
Very German.
Schoenstatt
It's
and the
Very
wolf.
German.
It's
Schoenstatt.
German.
Oh, Schoenstatt and Wolfenstein. It's really German. Yeah, I have trouble with German.
No worries.
Okay,
What is Scheffelbein?
German.
And scene.
I'm going to kill the lights.
Yeah, that's it. We're done.
Everything else is already dead.
Yeah. But please stay with us. We have more show to do.
Nathan's worth it. Okay, keep going.
Sure. So went to UT, was great. My dad was an entrepreneur. He had a oil and gas manufacturing company here. So I'd never been to a career fair my entire undergrad. Really had a straightforward plan, graduate, go join my dad's business. The spring break before I graduated, he sat me down and said, we're actually filing for bankruptcy. So I was like, oh, okay. I guess I got to find a job. And so went to some career fairs, had an offer for a 3-year rotational management sort of training program. But my last semester in college, we had this idea to build student housing out of shipping containers. And we just kind of kicked the can, a little bit more than I think most students would. And one thing led to another, and we met a guy who was going to fund us to go to India to build toilets. And so about 2 weeks after I graduated college, got on a plane with my friend Marco, and we moved to India to take on the global sanitation crisis at the age of 22, which I have no shame at how bad we crashed and burned in that endeavor. But, I think there's something good to that story.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure you were formed quite a bit, because I feel like you have a life of just starting things and growing things and flushing things.
Learning from the things that flush out, right? Like
That's right. Just wipe and keep going.
Oh, for sure.
So you took a risk, though.
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, there really wasn't anything to necessarily lose at that point. I mean,
That's
easy.
fair.
22 years old, and the alternative is some soul-sucking, 3-year rotational program. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's fair. Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying that, like, you still went out on a limb. You did something completely different, because a lot of people would look at, oh, well, there's the job security of having whatever the 3-year rotational thing is, right? So you're
or
like,
money,
no.
Well, you're a poor college student for 4 years.
Yeah, so
I actually think that was the biggest advantage, the fact that I had still yet to experience having disposable income, that it was sort of, it wasn't too much of a leap to
it's
be
a good
like,
lesson in that, right? Like, do it first.
My first job was Frito-Lay, and I bought a nice, expedition car.
Yeah.
And I couldn't stay in my job, but I couldn't afford to not pay my car notes. I was like, whoops.
yeah.
that was those Ford Expeditions.
No, but that'll do it, though, because
on his vision board. He was like, man, I'll be able to drive around so many drunk people in College Station with this Expedition.
So he bought an expedition. You went on an expedition.
That's right. Keep going with that. Where does this take you in your faith journey? How does that progress?
Yeah, so at this point in time, I'm discerning pretty heavily the priesthood. That was sort of the culmination of my entire spiritual journey was, or what I call it, my spiritual journey, in that it was a 2-year period of time of where I went from being not Catholic, I didn't even believe in Jesus Christ, and I was part of this Catholic movement. And I remember I was sitting down with the priest and said, I still don't necessarily believe in Jesus Christ. There's a lot of odd sort of patterns with many religions having somebody who, died during the winter solstice and somebody who rose during the summer solstice. So it was this weird sort of pattern where multiple religions had that. And I was like, I don't necessarily believe in Jesus Christ, but I was very open around the fact that I was still working through this sort of journey. 2 years, all wrapped up very beautifully. I won't go into the details, but in that final sort of moment, I knew that the whole point of our existence was to do God's will. And so I prayed and I said, God, what is it that you want me to do with your life?
Were you
with
watching
my life?
football?
If this team scores a touchdown, I'll go into seminary.
No commitments after that.
Yeah. Nice.
We hijacked your story. Go back.
No worries. You made it much better.
That's love.
No, that's just what we do.
So yeah, I prayed to God and I said, what's your will for my life? And he said, I want you to be a priest. And I was sort of like, what's behind door number 2?
And?
So that began what wound up being like a 2-year discernment process before eventually entering into the seminary.
And did you go in with an order, diocesan? What was your seminary?
The Jesuits.
I've heard of them.
Heard of them.
Yeah. That one I know. The Jesuits. Yep. Okay, so
no comment.
You're not a Jesuit priest now.
Correct.
Keep going.
So yeah, came back from India, wound up joining a VC fund actually right down the road from here, a place called DVC. So joined a VC fund as an analyst. Was super fun for about a year and a half, getting to look at startups. I would say I was a really bad analyst from the perspective that I didn't necessarily care to fill out all the frameworks or, look at all the due diligence. I just loved talking to founders and really picking their brain. And in some ways I feel bad because, you schedule 30-minute calls and I would spend 2 hours with somebody knowing that we weren't going to invest in their company. But I was just like, how did you go through this step and that step? And then what worked and didn't work? And I would say it really gave a good sort of sense of like the startup playbook. And loved the job, was having super fun with it. I would say every day was disposable income.
Mm-hmm. Which helps.
Yes, for sure. That was great. And
I'm for it.
And I was in that process. And once again, some interesting things happened in life. And I sort of knew, okay, I need to go to the priesthood. And the next day I picked up the phone, called a bunch of orders, and resonated with the Jesuits. And about 6 months later, I was shipped off to Omaha, Nebraska.
And then how long were you in the seminary?
For about a year.
Okay. Very cool. And you discerned your way out, and here we are sitting at this tiny table.
You could say discerned out. I think the proper term. The proper term would probably be kicked out, shown the door.
Whoa! Was it because you threw a frat party and no?
You told every decision
Hawaiian
they made was off of
luau.
a football game.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. No, wait, yeah, wait, what? So that's kind of a loaded way to say that. So what happened, if we may ask?
Sure. Yeah. It's nothing scandalous
Oh, okay.
by most standards.
By most standards.
Sure.
Well,
I don't know if the
let
Jesuits agree with that or not.
tell us in the comments what you think about what he's about to say
Hey,
here.
if what you find next is scandalous, subscribe.
Or even if you don't, you should subscribe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, it's just a win for the
Either
Beatitudes.
or.
Jeff, you're really, really good at that pitch.
I'm working on it. Honing it in.
Cool. Take my traumatic experience and use it for your subscribers.
So sorry.
Wow.
No.
Sensationalized.
Wow, there's that
journalism.
Catholic guilt again, though.
Wait, hold on. I just want to, can you go ahead and tell us what happened in the seminary?
Sure. So,
Jeff,
Nice.
you're terrible.
He asked
what
me
happens
to
if I cry on this
sensationalize
mic? Is it
Yeah.
going to ruin my voice?
Well,
Waterproof?
we put this on here so that the water wouldn't mess up, the tears wouldn't mess up the story.
Beautiful. So,
Okay, I'm done with this.
okay. I appreciate that.
Mine's true.
Yeah, so I get to Omaha, Nebraska, and interestingly enough, because I had no experience with the Jesuits, most people who entered the Jesuits kind of went to a high school or college, knew them. I didn't know them whatsoever.
This guy.
Oh,
Yeah, I went to
Jesuit
a
guy.
Jesuit high school right here in Dallas.
very cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
So definitely get it, right? Because it's a more education-based order,
Totally.
missionary sort of order. Yeah.
So because I had no exposure to the Jesuits, and the person who's my vocation director is actually like a distant uncle. That's actually how this whole thing came together. Someone was like, "Oh, you should call Father Paul. He's so and so's uncle or cousin," and he happened to be the vocation director.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he convinced me to go to the Midwest, not the Southern province, and I can see why. The Midwest is definitely on fire for the faith, and I do think Texas is as well. But anyway, I got there. They sent me to, instead of going to year one of the seminary, what they did is they sent me on what's called a donné year. And a donné year is actually spending a year with the Jesuits, living that life. So I lived in a community of 10 priests. I would say my life was probably identical to like a brother in the sense of, mass every day.
Yeah.
I taught at the school. And so while I was teaching, there was an opportunity to start like an elective class. And I was like, I can teach entrepreneurship. Maybe some of these kids will be interested in. I've got, enough of an experience at that point in time. I thought I could give back to the kids. And
Nice.
yeah, that class was fully subscribed. Tons of kids showed up. And I got bored teaching in a sort of a regular format. I was like, okay, you know what? This is not real entrepreneurship. What we're going to do next semester is we're actually going to build something. And so I had a bunch of kids submit ideas. They were all terrible. But
Hope you're watching right now.
yeah, especially if it listens, it comes back full circle.
just joking. Keep going.
So
This is
so
great.
one of the ideas was essentially wound up morphing. I thought about it and I was like, there's an interesting opportunity to create Nextdoor for schools. If you're familiar with Nextdoor, it's a neighborhood platform. And at the venture fund, I had a thesis which is only invest in a company if it's 10 times better than what you're replacing. And in that instance, we'd be replacing essentially a bunch of disparate Facebook groups. There was a Facebook group for the football program, for the class, at the end of the year, uniform swaps and everything. So I was like, what if we just built one platform? And so we had a localized Groupon where local businesses could advertise. We had a ride share so people could post, and there was like a ride share. There was tutoring. Even kids who were like good at a sport like golf could offer lessons to parents. So it actually clicked, like it worked, and we were growing in users. And I obviously have to discern again. And I actually felt, I'm having so much fun with the Jesuits. I'm going to keep going on with the Jesuits. So what do I do with this thing? Obviously, I felt bad that my parents, who have been, very generous growing up, helped pay for my college, et cetera, that essentially I was going to be a zero ROI child. And so I said,
In the spreadsheet, sure.
that's true, actually. I always told him, get him a fast pass to heaven.
There you go.
It's priceless. But yeah, so I said, let's try to take this thing forward. I saw like a pretty clear path, prove it out at this one very marquee Jesuit high school, Creighton Prep in Omaha, and then go take it to all the other Jesuit high schools. And in that process, I went to some of the alumni, found a guy who had startup experience, and he agreed that he would come on board for like $150,000 and 15% of the company or something. This is the only thing I did wrong, and hopefully there's some statutes of limitation, like where it's been,
we're past it. We're good.
Yeah, you should be okay.
I went to the guy who worked in the alumni department, and I was like, hey, can you give me a list of all the people who have donated the most money who are business owners? And so he gave me the list, and I essentially had the kids pitch him, but really I pitched them. And I said, look, here's what we got. Here's how it's going to work. And essentially there was two guys who are incredibly well. One of them was like the founder of TD Ameritrade, and he was just like, I'm in. So I was like, great. Worked out all the details, and I show up to the kids the next day. I said, what's going to happen is this is actually going to live on. We've got so-and-so. He's going to step in. He's going to run this. And I know you guys have ownership in this because when they would submit their homework, they would actually get shares instead of grades. So there was
awesome.
There was a cap table where kids had certain percentage, including this one. He was a senior. I think he had like 18% of this fictitious company. And I told him, so what's going to happen is we're going to take that cap table and we're actually going to consolidate it to a 5% on the official cap table, and we'll call it the Creighton Prep Scholarship Fund. And you guys will own pro rata of what you owned off that 5%. And if this ever becomes something, it'll pay out to you. All the kids were like, awesome, high five.
Of course.
The one kid who somehow thought his bad idea that he had proposed was related to this and something else. He told his dad, and his dad hired a lawyer and showed up at the school to sue me for ownership of this thing.
Wow. Whoa.
So yeah, I'm just like tutoring in a room like this with a bunch of students.
You're like Omaha Zuckerberg.
You got served.
Yeah, whatever the opposite of Zuckerberg is. Makes me the MySpace guy.
Zuckerberg.
You're Tom Zuckerberg.
So yeah, I think that experience definitely was a surprise to the Jesuit community, who was sort of
a surprise.
I think that
there wasn't a playbook for that one, you know.
That doesn't happen every year.
Exactly.
With their novitiate.
Exactly.
Yeah, since founding, I think they had this VC lawsuit.
Yeah.
I feel like I've known Nathan for many years, and he's just sitting on these like pots of gold that he's like, someday I'll let Jeff know about this pot of gold that I'm sitting on. This is incredible.
What a story.
And
Fascinating.
does that guy run the company now?
No, the whole thing it was just better to dissolve it than do anything else with it. It was going to get sticky. I definitely thought about it. I'm not going to lie. I thought about coming back and trying to build it, but it just, there was too much messiness with it. And so I just figured there are better ideas out there to pursue. And yeah, the Jesuits told me to essentially, they very politely told me to take 7 days to go discern and pray and whatnot. But I was also told, don't come back.
You're welcome to discern elsewhere.
Elsewhere, yeah. So I came back, and they pretty much very soon after called me and was just like, yeah, we expect you not to come back. We hope you don't plan to come back.
Expect you not to come back. That's how I used to break up with girls.
Hi, you can leave now, and I expect you not to come back. What was the name of this company?
My Campus Community.
My Campus Community. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Has a good ring to it.
Incredible. Yes. Well, listen, we're going to hear more about your entrepreneurial journey in a minute, but now we have to impress you with our wit in this moment in a special game
called Blessed Are the Joke Makers.
Nice.
Yeah. This time they're going to inherit 143 points.
Whoa.
Big one.
Okay.
This is a lot of pressure. All right, 143 points. How's this work, Paul?
Woof.
Hey.
All right. So
that's actually how I used to get people's attention. I'd say, hey, woof.
Woof. Okay, the way this is going to work, we've got a character card and a Catholic card game card. And so we have to take on this particular character and then answer as that character this one. And you have to decide who answers it the best as this character.
Okay.
And this is like a fill in the blank or a question, a prompt, something like that. So the character is, as a legendary rock star, love is patient, love is kind, love is blank. Love is patient, love is kind, love is leaving us behind.
Leaving what behind?
Leaving us behind.
Us behind. I think you said leaving nice behind.
So it was my rock star British accent.
I loved it.
Thank you.
Well, mate, as we said back in the day, love is patient, love is kind, Love is 8 days a week.
Nice.
Nice.
I don't know the reference.
Beatles, 8 days a week.
Cool.
Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is whatever Paul is giving you. That's it.
You're welcome.
Cool. Very rock star like.
I love that Nathan said, I don't know that reference. So I think I'm in a pretty good spot here.
I didn't even go for the character. I was thinking about you and love.
Thank you.
Yeah. This was just a sincere tribute.
Wow.
All right, you got to pick somebody.
Yeah.
Oh, that first one was your answer?
He's also in a really good spot.
Well, I'll see y'all later.
It just seemed like a post-music outro.
No.
I think maybe you should face that way and put all your venom that way.
Yeah, I'm going to leave.
Just pick whoever was quoting the most famous band of all time. I don't know.
Or who, just
Sang it.
Owned
Yeah,
it.
You did sing it.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that you were doing it, so.
All right.
And he clarified, so I'm going to give it to you, Nick.
Yeah!
I'm going to give it 143 points. Don't spend that all at once.
Bang. Just like that. Last to first.
Wow. Congrats, man.
That's
Season
why.
2
That's
has
why
a
he made
new
it so many
leader.
points.
Hey, remember I want
Oh,
to
yeah, because I
somehow?
knew. Yeah, I don't have the gift of foresight.
Don't forget I want to play golf at the Four Seasons.
That's right.
Oh
That's right. Don't
my
forget
Whoa,
it.
wait,
Goodness,
there's
the
a
bribery.
bribery situation going
We
on?
did not
here?
even
I'm
talk
going to get kicked
about
out of the
that today.
Beatitudes.
He's an
Wow.
entrepreneur. He has no money. Okay. Hey,
true.
for being our celebrity guest judge, you're getting a pair of socks from Sock Religious. You're
Very
getting
cool.
St. Michael the Archangel
Wow, I actually don't have these ones.
to defend us in battle. And if you at home would like your own socks, you can go to sockreligious.com/beatitudes. Do not spell slash. Here you go, bud. And we will see y'all after the break. Great job, Nicholas.
Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is leaving us behind.
The team at Aquinas Wealth Advisors believes that good values and good returns are not mutually exclusive. Using a tech-smart and morally sound approach, they provide investment alternatives that align with Catholic teachings without sacrificing returns. These days, faith-driven investors are finding it hard to know where their money is going. They have no visibility into what their dollars are supporting, but there's a better way. Thanks to the Faith and Finance Score from Aquinas Wealth Advisors, you can look into your current holdings to see what you're supporting and make a switch to an advisor that aligns with your values and gives power to your voice. Check out AquinasWealth.com today.
Hey, y'all, this is Jeff Schuffelbein. When Nick and I set out to start our new company, Undivided Life, we were really concerned about how would we cover the healthcare needs of our growing families, and we were so excited to find a company that fit both our medical needs and our faith beliefs perfectly. It's called Solidarity Health Share. It is an ethical alternative to traditional health insurance. We're never part of sharing in the medical costs of anything that goes against the teachings of the Catholic Church, making it a great alternative for Catholics and Christians alike. Solidarity is very affordable, which is perfect for a large family or for a new and growing business like the one we've started. So visit joinsolidarity.com today so that you can get started with us.
Hi, it's Paul Kolker from the Beatitudes here, and I just wanted to share with you guys that I also, outside of the show, perform improv comedy on a regular basis with a group called Divine Comedy. So what we do is we come up with everything on the spot, so whether you're looking for faith-filled, fun, family-friendly comedy for your youth night, or whether you're looking for clean comedy for your corporate event, Divine Comedy can perform for your group and even get you in on the action. So if you'd like to hire us to come out and perform for your next event, check out DivineComedyImprov.com. Divine Comedy, an inferno of fun.
Ooh, welcome back, everybody. We're sitting here with the entrepreneur, Nathan Pinto. He started a VC venture from a Catholic
Classroom.
high school.
Yeah.
And then you went on to do more VC things. What are you up to now?
Sure. So still very much a startup addict.
Is addict the right word? Like you there's something about that process that just draws you back in.
I think I've actually said this to somebody before, that the experience of picturing something in your mind and then bringing it to life is like crack cocaine. And I've heard crack cocaine is pretty addictive. So I think my whole story makes sense here.
I love it.
Yeah.
The story.
Yeah. To clarify.
So what are you focused on now? If you are focused. That's the thing, right?
I'd say I'm pretty focused. Definitely a lot of great people have put faith and trust in us to make it happen. So we've got a startup called Credit Mountain. It's a fintech startup. The original use case was it was a software that we sold to credit unions that allowed them to offer the people they decline a path to approval. And so we see each person that's declined, we analyze their credit, we understand the underwriting criteria of the institution, and then we give them a personalized path and steps and things that they could do. We learned over time that it's really hard to take somebody from a decline to an approval, especially if that was a large part of our revenue model. So we've evolved it over time. Now it's called a digital credit counselor. We have an automated marketing solution where we're essentially the joke we kind of use internally is that the digital credit counselor is like a fairy godmother that sees all 100,000, 500,000 members of a credit union, and we look for that person who just lost their job, or we look for the person who just got a payday loan, or somebody who's stuck in credit card debt, and then we deliver to them a solution that the credit union has in near real time, all in a way that looks and feels like the credit union. So that's what it's evolved into. It's fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A fairy credit godmother.
I think so. Yeah. This
Hey,
is all
get out of
very
that
new.
payday loan and get something from your credit union.
There you go.
Way better.
Exactly.
And you have this bug. I knew of a retail shop in town that you helped or founded. Can you tell us about that one?
Sure. So actually, when I came out of the Jesuits, I was trying to figure out, I knew very clearly what I was called to do in life. I think it was obvious at that point. The discernment journey had sort of ended on
Didn't
that
think
front.
about being like a priest also running startups.
Well, now Jesuits can't do that.
Okay.
Yeah, there's actually a
Well,
story.
shame
of
on me. I don't know.
It is wild.
You just got to lock up those kids in some IP agreements before you get started.
That's it. Just do your due diligence.
Yeah, the
and you're
problem
fine.
was you didn't get legal early enough.
There's actually a story of a Jesuit somebody connected with me with after, and he was working at San Francisco University, and he started a company. It was like an education platform and sold it to Alibaba for $140 million. And after he sold it, the Jesuits gave him $25,000 and a free plane ticket to go on a trip. And that's what he got.
Awesome.
So, been done.
He went to Omaha.
To tell me, run. No, just kidding.
Son, get out of here.
I expect you to leave. Wow, that is
Amazing.
Okay, keep going on.
Sure. So yeah, came back, was, open, full, free agent, open to starting anything. Probably started 7 or 8 things almost simultaneously. One of those was with my buddy who I'd worked with at the VC fund, and he said he had come from India, and he's like, look, there's a huge opportunity. There's not good quality goat meat in America. And I was like, great.
My love language.
I'm sorry, that's not the case. And he kind of kept badgering me and was like, there's a real opportunity. You're doing multiple things. Just add this one to the plate. So I said, sure. And we created a little flyer on PowerPoint of a goat. Then later I had to go see actual goats get turned into goat meat. And I've only actually watched that process once. Don't plan to watch it again.
Describe it for us.
I can show you. You stand right
Do you want
here.
to play that music again?
You want me to do on the wolf?
The sad music, please.
Do not turn that wolf into goat.
Or the pump up music.
So yeah, we just started. We started with home delivery. We eventually got to time and place. We were probably doing a few thousand deliveries a month, and we realized that delivery wasn't exactly profitable, and there was just a lot of complications to it. And so we opened a retail store. Our first one was in 2019, and I think our 9th one opened about a week or 2 ago.
The name of it?
Farm to Cook.
Farm to Cook.
There you go.
With the number 2? Or?
With the number 2.
Yeah.
All right.
Nice.
Well, listen, you've been doing some incredible work all along, and
Wait, I just want to say, you have more than just goat meat. Correct.
Just goat meat. Super niche, super
goat
specialized.
I just want to, if somebody's out there and wants to...
No, that meat.
Yeah, you come for chicken, you're leaving with goat.
That meat is the greatest of all time.
It's actually the second
The
most
goat.
consumed red meat on the planet. Did you know that?
It's what?
The second most consumed red meat in the planet.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
Is it
now
the
you know.
second only red meat on the planet?
What's the third?
Yeah.
There's more. There's more.
Okay, stump.
Bison.
Oh, yeah.
Bison. That's what I was going to guess.
Yeah.
Settlers and the
pork.
extinction and all that stuff.
I don't think pork counts as
What
a
is it,
red
too soon to bring up the bison?
Yes.
Gosh. Talk about.
You're fine, Jeff. You're fine.
We're losing
Okay,
Montana.
so
Huh?
not just goat meat, but all meats.
meat. All meats, yeah. Everything but pork because it's a halal butcher shop.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah. Well, now it's time to get less halalious here. That's not even a good one.
Wah, wah, wah.
Well, the transition's terrible because the next thing isn't funny. It's our TBD question.
Oh, we got to get serious.
The double.
Okay. Here we go.
Yeah. So TBD, we ask a question for every guest, but all four of us get to answer. So you get to be part of the crew here. And if you're listening at home, you get to be part of the answering too. Just turn to whoever's next to you and it will get awkward if they don't know what you're doing. The question for today is, tell us about a time that you misjudged or miscalculated or misunderstood a situation. And then when you learned more, kind of had a total perspective shift. I think this is a harder question to answer because you kind of have to dig into the memory bank. But I would like to share one. This one was one that I was sharing and said, why don't we talk about this on air? The Sunday I was at Mass this past week. Two of my boys were in daycare, whatever it's called, which meant we had 4 kids with us, a baby, and then 3 older kids. And then my wife's pregnant. Well, we squeezed into the back row in the back corner, kind of like on top of each other, like really tight. And my wife gets up pregnant with the baby and one of the kids to go like restroom and take care of something. And this woman's next to me and she said, hey, can we have one more seat here? And I was like, I'm kind of already like, my kids are all sitting on top of me. So I said, sure, one. And then 2 people sat down, which meant now my spot that was like a 2-person spot for 6 of us has turned into a 1-person spot for 6 of us. And I'm like, this isn't going to work. My wife comes back and I'm like, you need to sit, you're, halfway through this pregnancy. I get up and I'm like juggling the baby and I don't think I'm casting out that I'm upset, but I'm having this like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me that my wife and kids, like I just had this like moment. And then I turn and I look at the 2 people that took those seats and I realize it's a man about my age and his mom, and he has special needs and he has, ear protection in, and he's having to kind of focus to get through Mass, and she's helping to take care of him. And I can see the sorrow in her face when she realizes that I have this huge family that just was displaced. And I went up, well, first of all, my whole perspective changed. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I can handle being on the ground with my 1-year-old daughter right now. Like, I got this. This is not actually a sacrifice. This is just typical Mass anyways. She tried to give me the seat back and I was like, no way, we're good. My little girl needs to squirm. But I just had that feeling in my gut of like, you totally judged a situation based on your own comfort. And when you in this moment got to know the whole details, I just was like, thank you, God, for showing me that I needed to be put in my place today. So
Yeah, I've got one. This was probably, I know it was the first year when I was working at Satori. So, first year working at a private equity fund, and not typical, but they deployed some of us from the fund to one of the portfolio companies that was launching new product for a new customer, and it was Walmart. So it was like big deal, first time in Walmart, and Walmart is very rigid. It has to be 98.5% on time in full, or they'll just cut you out. Like, you got to be hitting your stuff. So, and we were going through a CEO transition. So it was like a lot of stuff happening. I'm coming in, I've been on the job maybe 6 months, thinking like, I'm not sure, like, what is the situation going to be like here, right? Like, is it going to be chaos? Is it going to be, I come in and I'm the manager for this production room, right? And I'm like, I've never been in a factory, much less a manager in a factory. And then I am blown away by some of these workers that have been there and doing it. And, it's a, $50, $60, $70 million business, whatever it is. And like the whole night shift runs because of 3 guys that know what they're doing. And it's one of those like, hey, and I'm just going to give him some credit. Like, Abdul is the man. Like, night shift runs because Abdul, making $17.50 an hour, knows how to run every machine. And like, I wouldn't have expected that. And it was just this total shift of like being in that situation and seeing like how those things are actually run and done really is on the, you know, the hard work of just a few people keeping the trains running on time.
Yeah. Amen. Yeah. Unless you've been there, you don't know.
Right.
Yeah. What about you guys?
Sure. I can go next.
Go for it.
The one that came to mind is with one of the startups we were doing was called Trust Fund. We were trying to take on payday loans. And so we actually volunteered with the St. Vincent de Paul Society, who has something called the mini loan program. And so we would go to people, impoverished folks, and actually help them get out of payday loan traps, is where we sort of learned about the whole sort of subprime space. And there was one thing that really stood out to me. It was when we would go see these single moms, their children would just be in a pen with just an iPad or a TV in their face for hours and hours on day. Mm-hmm. And we all know how impactful those first 2 to 3 years of somebody's life is. And I think after seeing that, I truly understood the disadvantage that some of these folks are. You know, I'm Indian, and so growing up, your parents have you in math tutoring classes when you're 2 years old, right? They're like, piano, math, don't do sports. Not a single pro Indian athlete out there, right? So
there's some pro athletes.
There's some pro doctors, that's for sure.
Yeah, we pick our strengths. And just seeing these kids and seeing what the situation that they were in just really kind of broke my heart to say, wow, you know, the uphill climb that they have over the next years of their life when they didn't have any of that proper formation. And so I've learned to have a little bit more empathy with different folks I'll come across with, and just imagine maybe that was them, because it's a large percentage of the population. It's pretty crazy.
Sure. That's a great one.
Well, so mine comes from actually being a teacher as well. So I was a teacher at Jesuit. This was after seminary because I was in seminary for diocesan.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so we have some similar story elements there. I didn't start a VC, but they did ask me to leave. No,
that's not true.
No. But after 4 years of teaching, I just realized it was time to move on. But early on, I want to say it was my second year, and towards the beginning, we had a kind of a smaller class for a pre-cal class that I was teaching. I taught math, and so in this smaller class, every so often it would just they would try to get you off topic, obviously, because high school guys, right? Like they're trying to avoid doing whatever learning they're supposed to be doing anyway. And but they would usually ask these good questions, and it would be philosophical or theological or any and all of that. And so, I considered it worthwhile to take a moment and do a little detour. And sometimes, based on what was going on in society at the time, they would ask these tough moral questions and all of that. And I don't want to get into all the details because I don't want to, potentially tip off, who this was. But somebody asked a more difficult moral question, and I answered it, I think, just a little too bluntly. In retrospect, because I was like, oh, I'm just explaining it, and I thought I had a good tone about it and all of that. But at the same time, I remember seeing this one student just put his earbuds in and just stop listening, and it struck me at the time, but I didn't really know what to do with it because, again, this was kind of early on. Come to find out later that he had all kinds of home life issues and things like that, and was dealing with some of the same, moral questions at the time. And it was just this moment of, okay, yeah, how do I always make sure that I consider that the people I might be talking to might also be in the midst of some of these exact same things. So yeah,
the humanity of the person, that we couldn't possibly know their heart or their circumstance, even if we think we do.
Well, right, and just that I might have been it was kind of a bedside manner type thing for doctors, right? Like the doctor could come in and just tell you, yeah, here's your symptoms and here's the terrible disease you have, but that's not the way they break it to you or the way they're supposed to break it to you. I mean, there's a way of, okay, well, here's why we do this, and this leads us to this possible. I mean, and that's not to say we soft pedal everything, but just that I didn't have to be blunt about
deliver with grace.
Yeah, that's basically what it was. So.
Well, that empathy part of that too is fascinating, because of how many times somebody is on the offense in the way that they're treating you, and it's really easy to say that person's a jerk. This is all these things happening that and you start to get into this whole narrative, and most of the time, if you actually knew what was going on, something really tough is in their life, or they have a wound, or they have something that you should actually just be praying for, and you should be, asking for God's grace in their life. But harder to do when you feel like you're being attacked.
For sure. That's where I think it helps to remember St. Paul's words of like, our war is not with flesh and blood. Like, it's not with each other. It's with, I mean, it's a spiritual battle that we're all caught up in.
Principalities.
Mm-hmm.
Well, awesome. I love all that. Nathan, we got a lot to talk about with you. You're going to be coming back on the bonus show later. We're going to be talking about family man. We haven't even come close to that yet. You are a family man. So which that's intense. You want to talk about intense. We're going to talk about that, but we wanted to finish today's show off with our reverse Simpsons, in which every show ends differently than any other show, by pitching you, Mr. Catholic Entrepreneur, on some other ideas that you could possibly launch, or maybe it's not even ideas. Maybe it's even just catchy names, because you're pretty good at taking other people's ideas and stealing them. We've learned.
Yeah, legally.
And calling it discernment.
Nice.
So this is just
before you steal it from us, we'll just give it to you.
Yeah, we're just going to give it to you. And there's no points in this unless you're just so impressed by something you just decide that you're going to give out points. Less than 100, though, you can't go crazy.
Less than 100.
Yeah, there's no points on the line, but if you feel so deemed, you could just dish out some points here and there if you'd like.
Okay,
to.
sure.
As long as it's not to Nick.
Yeah.
It just gang up on me. So maybe
let me play the pity card.
it worked in season 1.
Just points over this way.
Yeah.
Keep pointing this way. And okay, anybody got a name or two they want to go first?
I've got one to start with. Okay, so you talked about the credit for people who are in maybe difficult situations. You call it Credit Mountain, right? So maybe like a junior version of that to teach kids how to work with credit unions. Call it Credit Molehill. What?
Wow.
I wanted to prove to you that I did not steal this from you. My version of that was, after you're done with Credit Mountain, move on to Credit Molehill. It's all a lot easier.
Must just be speaking to you guys to tell me.
I feel a lot of points coming on over here.
I said, forget Credit Mountain, start Mountain Credit.
Or you open up a ride at Disney World that teaches you about credit while you're going down a water
Mountain.
flume, and it's Credit Splash Mountain.
There you go.
Yeah.
You want to feel what it's like to be underwater?
That's it. Nice.
Mountain Credit is just a credit card for rich people that live in mountain towns.
Mostly Vail.
The card only works above 8,000 feet.
Correct. At elevation.
That'll keep all the poor people out.
At elevation.
At elevation. I wasn't sure where to go with this, but I was just thinking if you could ever like resurrect some of your old companies and things that you stole from kids, that I could help you kind of finish off just this hook. I mean, you just kind of need that thing that people are going to be like, oh, I remember, Nathan, your high school had a problem and you solved it. Then came the law and you had to dissolve it.
Nice. Cool. Sure.
Like when the law showed up.
Cool.
Is that?
That wasn't Ice Ice Baby?
Yeah,
for sure.
He finds a way to do Ice Ice Baby in like every show. Okay, so I got another one, unless you want to
go.
Okay. All right. So I was thinking you can maybe venture into the world of like security, personal home security. So like alarm system type stuff, but one kind of more along the lines of Home Alone, where it like physically causes a problem for whoever's breaking in, right? Especially if they're trying to like get your goat, right? So you call it harm to crook.
Cool. I'll give you 5 points.
All right. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh,
that's
well,
good.
It's funny because the other business I was going to tell you to start was really based on the show. It's called Foot to Mouth.
No.
Please, sir, we want some more.
On that, in that vein, instead of farm to cook, I thought you could start cook to farm. It's a
ride
meal, it's
share.
a meal delivery for farmers.
They don't have to do any of their own
They
cooking.
don't have to do the cooking.
That's a great one, actually. They're busy farming.
They're
hungry
busy.
kids.
They're working. They got a
Exactly.
lot of kids to feed.
Yeah.
I've got all this food.
Chef prepared. The chef picks it up today, goes home and cooks it, and brings it back tomorrow.
Cool.
It's perfect.
Just so you guys know the ranking orders of good ideas, I'm going to give you 6 points.
Oh, let's go. And these get worse, so I'm going to keep going.
Keep going.
This one's just a play on the name. Nathan's famous hot beans. Sorry. That one actually doesn't make sense unless you hear the other one, which is Nathan Pinto beans.
Yeah.
But it all just got worse.
You actually can take away.
No, I would not have said those if I knew
very
that. You
special.
can't make
This
these
is
rules up.
Surprisingly, no one's actually ever done Nathan's hot dogs and pinto beans together.
Really?
I think about my whole life I've always gotten Nathan's famous hot dogs or pinto beans.
Oh, I thought you were saying nobody's ever eaten them together, and I was going to call bogus.
So, yeah, Nathan's famous hot beans.
Yeah.
Well, I know. Listen, I know that
I was like, this guy's gotten this one his whole life.
I actually have not. No
I
one's
mean,
given me the
those
boat.
combinations.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to pull one out that
But
wasn't
they
brought
go
up
well
on the
together.
show because I'm desperate for some points here. And it's just that I know that there had been work in the past. Your wife had worked on some cool app for prayer, Holy Habits, I remember. And I want you to start Holy Habits, HOLEY. And it's actually a new mesh design for religious sisters that is breathable fabric so that they can wear holy habits for these hot summer days in Texas.
I'm a huge believer in that.
7 points.
Yeah, 7 points for sure. Yeah. I've been talking to priests about Under Armour.
Wait, so I also have an app idea that's
You're just not going to end this episode. We're just more points.
so spiritual. You talked about a spiritual direction app, right? That's the Holy Habits one.
Seek direction.
Seek direction. Okay. So I thought, you could do one that like tries to keep you from discerning priesthood, right? So and it's called Hinder.
Nice.
That's really
I think Tinder does the same thing. But
8
yeah.
points.
actually they do the same thing.
8
Nope.
points.
It's already
No.
redundant. It's already something better out there.
Listen, I should get 8 points for nominating myself for points. You can't steal my move. Wolf is pointed at you.
It's good.
All right. Anybody got any last pointers?
No, I think that's it.
Nathan, will you come back for the bonus show?
Sure.
Sweet.
I work down the office. You know where to find me.
Okay, perfect.
All right, good deal. Well, we are so grateful to have you here and all of your wild and amazing stories and really this journey to holiness that you have, I will say, gone through the valley of more and more boring, and you've pulled the nose up, and you're pretty cool.
Trying.
All right, we'll see you on the bonus show, and for the rest of you, we will
See you in the Eucharist.
God
Bless.
Thanks for tuning in. If you'd like to join us at our undersized table, subscribe to the video version of the show on YouTube by typing @ that's the symbol @ so shift and 2 on your keyboard, @the_Beatitudes on YouTube. We'll see you there.
This podcast is part of the Spoke Street Network. For more great podcasts, visit spokestreet.com.